Well, let's get a little bit more on that, and let's also talk about the mood here in Davos with Jakob Stausholm, the CEO of Rio Tinto. Nice to see you. Just on the China story, can you put a bit more colour on it for us? I mean, what exactly is the reopening going to mean for you, do you think?
Well, we've all been through it, haven't we? And China is now the last big economy that opens up, and we've all felt this thing, that there are things that have had to hold back because of health, and I'm quite optimistic that this is a very timely moment for the world economy. We are facing a difficult outlook, high inflation, risk of recession in the Western world, and I'm absolutely convinced that we will see quite a help to the world economy from China opening up. And that's, of course, the expectations in the market. You've seen how commodity prices have increased the last few months. It's entirely expecting that the enormous manufacturing industry of China is basically putting more steam in the boilers.
And there seems to be a different tone as well to this. We saw Janet Yellen with Liu He yesterday. We know that there's been a bit of Australian diplomacy with the Chinese in recent weeks to try and reduce the verbal hostility at least, and to try and get trade flow up and running again. Are we looking at a reset, or is that too big a statement at this point?
Look, certainly from a Rio Tinto point of view, there is no reset, because we have had really good relationships with our Chinese partners throughout. We sell more than half of our products into China, and that flow we have been able to keep when we have had COVID in our mines, when we have had COVID in the markets. But the point is, of course, the Chinese economy as an aggregate will grow faster this year than last year, and that's good for our business. But the business has been carrying on throughout COVID.
Aside from China, what are you hearing that you find interesting here in Davos as well? You've kept your ear to the ground as well. You're having some big conversations, some bilats as well. What's the feel?
Look, it's easy to say, we are sitting outside here, that it's cold in Davos, because the background isn't a bit cold. We have got a war very close by. We've got an inflation that nobody saw coming, and a risk of a recession. We have a climate crisis. But what I've taken out of the last 4 days here in Davos is that the world's leaders are actually addressing the issues. The issues are on the table, and they are being addressed. I'm, for example, heartened to see that while we have an energy crisis in Europe, people are still focused on addressing climate change. And if you look at the small gains, just look at how Europe have dealt, and particularly Germany, have dealt with the energy crisis. Suddenly we have seen gas prices falling much more than anybody would have expected. And it just tells that we humans, we can do more than we think, as long as we get the things on the table and we work together on solving it.
I think